Hello, welcome to Knitting Needles and Stems. I'm Carrie, I'm the host, and this week we're going to talk about works in progress, finished objects, knit-alongs, more out than in, my patterns, and gardening. First, I usually like to talk about what's new, and really there's nothing new going on around here. We're in the middle of tax season, and I'm a senior tax analyst by trade, so it's really busy for me, and I'm edging out this time to come and talk to you guys about what I've been up to. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to talk about is whips. The first thing that I've been working on is my Rustic Dreams sweater by Ladianna Henderson. This one was made with yarn that I purchased in 2019 from my trip to Chicago. There were several yarn stores and several different kinds of yarn that were used. The main color is Quince Co. Finch in the peacoat colorway, and that's what I've been using all the time since I finished the yoke of the sweater. I finished the whole body. It's all the way bound off. I got the bottom ribbing done, and I'm working on the first sleeve. I'm hoping to make this a long sleeve sweater. The pattern is written for a short sleeve, but in northern Wisconsin we really need long sleeve sweaters during sweater season. But all I have is this little ball of one skein and then a whole other skein left. So hopefully I have enough to make a long sleeve sweater. I am going to taper the sleeves so that they get skinnier as they go down and will fit around my wrist nicely. Other than that, I'm just working along on Sleeve Island here, and it has this beautiful color work yoke. This is my first color work yoke sweater. Some of the rounds had 3 colors in one round, and it's just been a delight to work on. This yarn is nice and rustic and really light, so I think it's going to be a great sweater, a great addition to my wardrobe. Again, that's the Rustic Dreams sweater by Ladianna Henderson. The next thing I've been working on is the Mira River Wrap by Tammy Canavan-Soldaat. This one is a wrap. Mine will be a little more like a scarf, but it's a wrap pattern that includes beads. For mine, I have a giant skein of this brown yarn, but you can see it has all the different colors in it, bits of red and green and brown, and it goes really well with these beads that I've found from Fire Mountain Gems. Mine will be more like a scarf because of the cobweb yarn, and it's just a long-term project. I'm going to keep going until I run out of the beads, and then that's how long it'll be when I'm done. So again, this is the Mira River Wrap by Tammy Canavan-Soldaat. Next, I've been working on my corner to corner blanket. This one I'm just using all the leftover yarns from all the projects that I'm finishing. I just reach into the bag and grab a random skein when I'm done with the one that I'm working on, and keep going from there. It has all different weights of yarn except for lace weight because I had a mishap with the lace weight that I used. But really it has all the different colors, and it's just a corner to corner blanket pattern. There's nothing really special about it. It's garter stitch, so it'll be nice and comfy when it's used. We're going to probably have it on the back of the couch when I'm finished with it, just for chilly mornings, which we've been having a lot of lately. I'm sure the kids would have loved to have had it done by now, but it was started in 2022 and it has been a long-term project. I am on the decrease rows, so it will get done at some point, but I'm not really in any hurry to get it done because it's nice to have when I just need something mindless to think about or to work on. It's just you decrease at the beginning of the row and then knit the rest of the row, and then do the same thing when you go back. Again, That's the Corner to Corner Blanket by Sammy Bristow, and I'm using just all my leftovers for it, all different weights. The next thing that I've been working on is Clean 2025 by Silky R. I don't know if that's how you say her name, but S-I-L-K-E, Silky. For this one, I'm using Knit Picks Dishy in the Mulberry colorway, Mulberry, and Lilac Mist. And it's simply a mosaic washcloth that has 2025 on it. I've finished the bottom half, it's halfway done. On the top, it'll say 20, and you can see it has a nice little heart here for 2025, which this was the Saturday Social and Knitting in the Loft group. It was one of the Saturday Social patterns that was at the end of last year, but I'm slowly catching up on the washcloths that were in that year. So again, this is the Clean 2025 pattern by Silky R. And I'm using Knit Picks Dishy in Mulberry and Lilac Mist. Next, I've been working on, I decided that maybe I'll try for the Year of Gnomes this year in Sarah Shira's group, where you make a gnome for each month. And my plan right now is to use 2 of the gnomes, which one I made last month, and then the one that I'm going to make this month for an art project to send to the local art beat, well, the local art studio in town. It's called Art Beat, for their show that they have every year, where any artist can submit a project for their theme, and their theme this year is lime, so it's lime colored projects. So my second gnome for this project is All Work Gnome Play by Sarah Shira. And I'm using Sock Obsessions Yarned Resilient Smooth Sock in the Bad Influence colorway. And this is the hat for the gnome in the Sock Obsessions yarns. I'm not sure what color I'm going to use for the contrast or for the body yet, but I'll tell you when I get there. You can see it's just a nice little simple hat, and it has a long I-cord that you would then sew around the hat to make a cute little pattern around the hat. And with the self-striping, it made a nice pattern on the hat, and it has a nice striping pattern on the I-cord too, which will give a nice effect to the finished gnome when I get it all put together. So this is All Work Gnome Play by Sarah Shira. One other work in progress that I have is the 5 Easy Washcloth Patterns by Sweet Bee Crochet. I started these back in November when we were in Kentucky on our vacation, and I was waiting for my daughter to finish her washcloth so that I could finish up all the other washcloths. So for these I used Knit Picks Dishy and worsted in navy and this nice green color. I don't know what the colorway is because I did not record it in my stash on Ravelry. But here is the most recent finished washcloth. It has the nice texture to it with this one was a double single crochet all the way across the rows, which made a very nice pattern on there. These are the other ones that I've already showed you. Just they had 5 different crochet patterns that made 5 different textured cloths. And these 2, this is Peaches and Cream Stripey in Denim, and Peaches and Cream Stripey in Green Stripes, which is very appropriate. So then for this last cloth, I decided that I'm going to use all of the leftovers from all of the other cloths to make this final cloth. And then it should use up pretty much all of the yarn that I had bought on my vacation to make the washcloths and the green dishy that I had in my stash. Again, that's the 5 Easy Washcloths pattern by Sweet Bee Crochet. And my final work in progress is my cross stitch Day's End by Judy Gibson, counted cross stitch. This one, I've decided, I work on it usually an hour a week on Tuesday evenings before I get out my crochet. And I decided, because there's one part where my stitch count was off, so my plan is to work all the way around the outside border. It's a circular pattern, and then work my way inside. So you can see I've been working around the outside, and I have began the deer right here. This is going to be the deer, and it's going to be a pretty big circle going around there. It should be really cute when it's done. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to display it. If I'm going to frame it, or maybe find a hoop that it can go in that's the size of it when it's done. But I'll deal with that when I get there. I'm really enjoying spending an hour a week working on cross stitch, because it just kind of gets pushed to the side, and I'm already thinking about things that I might want to make after I finish this, even though this one's going to take a long time to finish. Again, that's Day's End by Judy Gibson, counted cross stitch. And that's all my works in progress for this episode. So let's move on to finished objects. The first thing I finished was my Emotional Support Chicken by Annette Corsino. And for this one, I used a kit that I ordered from the Knitting Tree LA in the Chickless Cage colorway. They have the best names for their colorways for these chickens, and they're the ones that originally released the pattern. So they have all the rights. This one is for my oldest, who loves the actor Nicolas Cage, and I thought Chickless Cage was perfect for that. So this is Chickless Cage. You can see he has his little waddle in his comb. Nice eyes. The eyes came with the kit. Everything came with the kit except for the stuffing and the needles to make it. So it's the perfect way to get everything that you need to make an emotional support chicken. Is to go onto their website. That's the Knitting Tree LA, and order one of the kits, because they send the red yarn, the gold yarn, the yellow yarn for the beak, and then the two colors that you need for the body and the eyes. So, and stitch markers and stickers, and everything that you would need to make this chicken, they send it all in the kit. Again, that's Emotional Support Chicken, and this is Chickless Cage from the Knitting Tree LA kit. The next thing that I finished is the Sleepy Snail by Crafty Crochet Critters. This one is going to go on the art installation with the gnomes for the art show that I was talking about. Here's my little sleepy snail. His shell is the Sock Obsession yarn and the Bad Influence colorway, the same as the gnome hat was that I just showed you. And he has his little antennas, and he just turned out so cute and little. I used fingering weight yarn instead of worsted weight, which is called for in the pattern, because I wanted him to be a little snail compared to my gnomes, which are made in fingering weight too. So this is Sleepy Snail by Crafty Crochet Critters, using Sock Obsessions yarn, Resilient Smooth yarn in the Bad Influence colorway, and just some leftover white that I had in my stash. Next, I finished for the Saturday social in the Knitting in the Loft group. I finished the London Plain Snowflake by Jessica Wyfall. I haven't blocked it yet, but it's a nice, delicate snowflake. It's so fun to make these snowflakes, and they're so quick and easy to make. I can usually get them done in a couple hours on a Saturday, which is just perfect, because you get instant gratification that way. And sometimes that's what we need when we're working on projects, especially when we have long-term projects like blankets and sweaters on the needles. So again, this is the London Plain Snowflake by Jessica Wyfall. And another Saturday social finish that I have is the Aspen Snowflake by Crochetpedia. Which this one I used a really thin crochet thread that I had in my stash, so I held it double for this one. And this one was really fun to make too. I tried holding it single to make a more delicate snowflake, but that just wasn't going to work with the hook size that I had. So holding it double was just perfect. This is Aspen Snowflake by Crochetpedia, and those are both Knitting in the Loft Saturday Social projects. Another thing that I finished for the Project a Month knit along group was the I'd Love Some Coffee by Thaddeus Nelson. For this one I used Joyful Journey alpaca hand-dyed yarn, and Joyful Journey Alpacas is an alpaca farm that is local to me. So she had given me some yarn to make sample hats for her, and then she told me everything that we had left I could keep and use for myself. So here is my I'd Love Some Coffee by Thaddeus Nelson. You can see the nice heart pattern there. It was perfect for Valentine's Day, and it fits perfectly on a medium size travel cup from our local gas station. So it's just perfect in every way. I'll keep it in my car for when I stop and get a latte or coffee or chai tea, and I can use it when I'm drinking that. So that's the I'd Love Some Coffee by Thaddeus Nelson. Next, I finished my Mother Bear for February. The theme for this month was candy bears, which is perfect for the month of February. And I'm going with the theme of naming my bears after people in my office during this busy tax season. So this is Louise Bear. Louise is as sweet as cotton candy. That's why I chose the colors, the pink and blue for the cotton candy. I used a simple seed stitch for the shirt, for the sweater, which made, with the two colors, it made a very lovely pattern for her sweater. And these bears go to children in Africa who are affected by HIV and AIDS. And it's just really fun to make a different bear every month. And in the Ravelry group, they have a different theme for every month. And it makes it really interesting to see everybody else's bears and how they interpret the different themes. So this is the Mother Bear project. And this is my Louise Bear for the candy bears for February. Now, let's move on to knit-alongs. The Unraveling podcast is hosting the Patty Lyons Knitting Bag of Tricks knit-along. We're working through Patty Lyons Knitting Bag of Tricks book and the workbook that goes along with it. They are already up to lesson 3. I have not made it that far. I talked about lesson 1 on the last episode, and that is the only lesson that I've made it through. But it's okay because they have different threads for each of the lessons set up in Ravelry. So if you are just getting the book, or if you're only done with lesson 1 like I am, or only lesson 2, you can still, when you finish each lesson, you just go and chime in with your findings on your swatches for that lesson, and everybody is there who has already completed it. You can read what they've found, you can post what you find, and comment on what everybody finds. So that's the Unraveling podcast group, and the knit along is in Ravelry, and that's for the Patty Lyons Knitting Bag of Tricks book and the workbook that goes along with it. The other knit along that I always participate in is in the Project a Month Cal group. Cal is for knit along, and that's where I made the I'd Love Some Coffee by Thaddeus Nelson for the February knit along there. We haven't decided yet what we're going to be doing for March, but as for right now, there's still time to go in there and finish the nice coffee cozy for February and share it with us. One more knit along that I'm participating in is the self-indulgent knit along. And I say knit along, but really it's a craft along. If you want to spin or weave or crochet or knit, all of them are accepted in this along group. Anything that feels self-indulgent to you, if it's the yarn that you've been waiting to use, or the fiber you've been waiting to use, or the pattern you've been waiting to try, or if you want to make something for yourself because you usually make something for everybody else, or if you want to make something for somebody else because you just feel like that's what you want to do, then anything that makes it feel self-indulgent to you is good for this knit along. It started on the winter solstice, which was in December, and it ends in the spring solstice, which is in March 20th. So for that one, I'm actually working on my Rustic Dream sweater, and hopefully I can get it done before March 20th. All I have left is the sleeves. Now let's talk about more out than in. For more out than in, I did not purchase or receive any yarn. So my yarn in is at 0. And I finished designing the mystery critter for 2025. So that sent out 489 yards out of my stash. So for February, I've sent more out than in by 489 yards. And for the year, I am at 435 yards brought in and 577 yards sent out. So I'm actually ahead for the year right now as it stands. And hopefully I can stay ahead for the rest of the year. I don't have any plans to buy any yarn, but I am going to on a knitting retreat and to a yarn festival this year. So hopefully I will have a big enough deficit, a big enough amount of yarn sent out to offset what I end up purchasing during those two things. Next, let's talk about my patterns. As I said, I finished my mystery critter pattern for 2025. It is currently being tested. It is a mystery, so I'm not going to tell you what animal it is, but it's made with bulky weight yarn, and it's pretty quick to make. It will be released in April, on April 15th as a celebration for the end of tax season, and it will come out in 6 different clues, one for every week. I have a crochet version and a knit version of the same pattern, so keep your eyes open for that to be coming out. It will be published on April 1st, but the clues in the knit along or make along begins on April 15th. I've also been working on a shawl pattern that has been rolling around in my head for a little while. I started it a while back, and then I ended up taking it all apart and rethinking all of the numbers that I was using. But for this one, I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Show Stealer, which is their cashmere fingering weight. And I'm using the colors Bare Necessities, which is this nice creamy white, Krampus, which is this amazing green. I just really love this green, and the Poison Apple color. Since I'm using Christmassy colors, it will probably be coming out around Christmas time, hopefully in 2026 or 2025 rather. But I'm not going to make any promises because I don't always have time for designing as much as I would like to, because I would like to make all the things instead of designing. So that is something to look forward to. I will be looking for testers when I'm done with the sample, and then we'll see when it's ready to come out. So again for that I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Show Stealer in Bare Necessities, Krampus, and Poison Apple. And now let's talk about gardening. I don't really have much to talk about for gardening because in northern Wisconsin in February there's not much gardening going on. As you can see outside, there's a lot of snow on the ground and not much changes. I mean, we water the plants, they are just there and getting watered. But I did want to talk about what I talked about on one of the first episodes was the propagation of the false Christmas cactus. So you can see this one was the one that it really needs water, that's why it's so droopy, but it was propagated in one of the first episodes, and it has all these new little sprouts on the propagation, on new leaves, not sprouts, but on the propagated leaves. So they are ready, they're really spreading, and I'm hoping that I can get some blooms out of this, maybe this Christmas or Thanksgiving, if the false Christmas cactus is actually one that blooms. I'm not 100% sure on that. But propagation was so easy. You can look back at episode 1 to see how the propagation is, and this has only been 3 months and they've already got all these new leaves on them. So it's really encouraging when you're propagating new succulents and cactus, and it's so simple to do. So that was the propagation of my false Christmas cactus. And that's all that I have for you today. If you have any questions, please post below, or you can email me at knittingneedlesandstems@yahoo.com, and I check that email daily, so you can expect a response there. Like and subscribe if you're so inclined to do so, because that will help me out tremendously. But until next time, keep on doing what you love. Bye.